Welcome to the Glitter Boom Girls podcast, y'all. I'm Robbie-Ann McPherson on the East Coast.
And I'm Amy Asberg on the West Coast.
Super excited today. OMG. Guess who's back? You guys, David Yontef. Welcome, David.
Hello. What is up?
What is up? We are up because you are here. Like, we love when you come by. We are so super thrilled. And so, of course, if you have not, I don't know, you'd have to be under a rock, right, to not know the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast that David is not only the host of, but the creator of, right? And David talks to everybody. He talks to drag queens, soap stars, musicians, movie stars, Bravo celebrities.
Reality stars, yeah.
Right? Everyone. And he does...
Icons.
Icons in the flesh.
That's it. Icons in the... There's your subhead. Behind the Velvet Rope. Icons in the flesh. That's it.
I like it.
Right. So, and we kind of, on our show, we're all about nostalgia and all that. So what we get a little obsessed with is like, you talk to many of the icons that Amy and I talk about and gush over, right, Am?
That's right.
Yeah. So we just want to start off by pulling some names off of your impressive roster, and then like give us your first impressions, and then we'll get into like maybe some behind the scenes kind of stuff, right? So I am dying to talk about the late great Tawny Kitaen.
Ooh. First impressions were just so sweet. Such a sweetie.
Oh.
Like, yeah, such a sweetie. Just, look, there's some people like right from the beginning of the interview, you're like, I just feel this is going to be like, I mean, I also like it because I'm like, now I could get away with anything because like, you just are, you're already feeling me and I've only said 2 words. That's how Tawny was. Like right away, it was just like, oh, I could do whatever I want because she is just feeling it, but just a sweetie. Really nice. Really nice.
That just, it's nice to hear and it's heartbreaking at the same time, right? Because she passed away a few months ago. And if you guys don't know who Tawny Kitaen is, she was the video vixen in the Whitesnake videos, right? The infamous mane of red hair, like rolling around on a Jaguar. And she also was an actress in Bachelor Party.
Bachelor Party.
Yeah, and kind of just an all-around, model actress slash whatever. So when were you her last interview?
Yeah. I mean, barring someone coming forward and saying they are, I mean, I am. It was picked up in all the papers that I am. And I mean, she passed away like literally, I think 2 weeks after we spoke, something insane.
Wow.
I mean, her episode wasn't even supposed to come out when it did. And when this happened over the weekend and like everyone on my team was like, you're going to have a horrible weekend, but you need to stop everything. And this has to be Monday's episode. I mean, do what you want. It's your show. And I'm like, you're right. Like this has to be Monday's episode. So I had to scrap everything, pull it together and I aired it, I think in 2 parts. I can't remember, but it was unedited. I don't do a lot of editing anyway, but it was more like, just to honor her life and just like, I mean, again, I don't edit really anything of substance out, but I didn't do any editing at all. Like her dog, whatever barking or whatever was going on, I'm like, let's just let this roll because this really was picked up as the last interview. That's what all the papers said. So,
yeah.
I mean, it was weird. It was literally weird of like, and I mean, I had plans to visit her. Like when I was in the OC, we were going to get together.
Wow.
We really bonded.
Wow. That's kind of shocking, right? Like,
what happened? Do we know what happened?
We do now. I have to Google it, but like it literally just came out recently because my Google alerts were going off like a month ago. And then it got picked up of like, so they just released the cause of death, but I can't remember what it was. It's Googleable. It's something, but it literally took all that time. I don't know why it took all that time. to find out
Yeah,
why.
like tox tests and autopsies and all that kind of stuff.
It's weird. I mean, there was a lot of chatter after she passed away and people listening to my show and being like, there was a lot of people that were, oh, she seems completely high on your show, which I didn't pick up on.
You didn't think so?
Then when everyone was saying it to me and the fact that she was in recovery and passed away, then I'm like, okay, well, I could kind of now see that. Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
maybe
I'm sure people assumed.
It says dilated cardiomyopathy.
Yeah, which
common
is heart
type of
disease.
Heart disease.
Yeah. Okay. So I like many, when I heard that she passed away, I was aware of her history and she had been public about her substance abuse. I, of course, assumed, the worst, that maybe she had just checked out, but the fact that she had heart disease and then on top of it, substance abuse and stuff, I always found there to be sort of this air of sadness. Like when you talked to her, did you get a sense that her life had kind of gone downhill, or was she in a good place?
Both. I mean, she was so happy. And so it's kind of like I didn't it's weird because like hindsight's 2020, right? So I think during the interview I got a sense of she's so happy and sweet.
Okay.
And just life is good. However, after, you ask for like the behind the scenes tea after she passed and all this came out, then, right, a lot of people I think went down the same rabbit hole you did of like she had substance abuse issues and she kind of talked about how she was clean on my show. And so then when I went back and watched the videos, which are on YouTube, and like listened, I was like, well, now that everyone's telling me that she seems high on my show.
She was on opioids when she died. That's what happened.
Well,
along with the heart disease.
Well, that's not being clean, right? That's not being clean.
Well, unless you're, I mean, if you're in recovery, you're probably not going to get prescribed opioids. I mean, I'm not a doctor.
And you know what? People are flawed and people struggle. And it's not black and white. And you could be a beautiful person and a beautiful soul and just be flawed and be doing your best and just have issues.
Right.
And it sounds like,
Yeah, and you're right.
And
if you have, the horrible disease of addiction, my gosh, I can't. I feel so lucky that I have never struggled with that in my life because I just can't imagine. And I think people pass a lot of judgment, but you're right, Aim. Like, it's not. We didn't walk in her moccasins, right? So it's not.
Moccasins? You mean 6-inch stiletto?
We didn't walk in her
pointed heel, snakeskin.
We didn't strut in her footwear.
She didn't play around.
Right. I'm telling you guys, in '88, she was my major wardrobe icon. I had skin tight white dresses and white heels with my crunched hair and like giant hoops. I was like,
yeah,
give it up to Tawny.
Go Tawny.
You were rocking.
No, listen, she was wonderful and she was open and right. So I didn't really feel a sadness talking to her at all. It was more like after the fact when everyone was saying she was high, and then I listened again. And the other thing is, so she talked to me about her daughter who lives in New York during the podcast, and then texted me after to say, like, I know we're meant to be really good friends, but my daughter lives in New York near you, and I'm going to connect the two of you. Like, she doesn't know a lot of people in New York, and I want you to be her friend. Now, when she passed, I went down the substance abuse road because everyone else was going down that road with me, like you said you were. But then I had a weird thing of like, I thought it was a little strange that she texted me to be like, you need to look after my daughter. And literally, like, I'm going to connect the two of you. So when I was like,
it's like foreshadowing, a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah. And like, then I started to think, like, did you take your own life? Which she didn't, but but
you wonder, yeah.
Well, I mean, like, look after my daughter, and like, you just met me. And then, I mean, granted, that ties into substances too. Like, so I didn't really think anything was strange at all about any of this until she passed away. Then
in hindsight, I would link those two things together a little bit.
Right, like, look after my daughter. You, like, I'm not going to be here. I'm about to do something to myself. That's where my mind went.
That's
like,
very
I didn't
interesting.
share that with the public because I'm like, why? I did reach out to her daughter just afterwards, just to be like, I was your mother's last interview, and just she texted me this. So I look at you, just like wanting nothing from it other than she cared about you, which I'm sure like is not my business, but this is a text she sent me.
Yeah.
I mean, I never heard back. I mean, then I did hear, of course, it's always somebody anonymous, right? I heard from what I can only, it was someone, I don't know if her ex has a wife now, or a girlfriend, or somebody in that camp, but somebody associated with her kids and her ex reached out and DM'd me on Instagram when I was posting all about this, which I do for every story and every guest, just kind of like, you need to leave this alone. I mean, I also told this person to fuck off, but like, you need to leave this alone and stop posting it. She was a very troubled woman, and in no way should you be celebrating her as a, like, dude, it's one of my interviews, and I was the last.
Oh, you mean they weren't like, you mean they were actually kind of trashing her and saying she wasn't. Oh,
and
that
it was
seems
somebody
unnecessary.
It wasn't like I mean, who knows who it was, because it was at a blog, it was one of those, like,
somebody she wronged, or they perceived to have been wronged.
Somebody
but the person held themselves out as like either the ex-husband's wife, girlfriend, like knew the kids, knew the family. I can't remember the exact words, but that's how it came across, of like, just someone that was in her ex's camp closely, and like not like coming for her, just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. And this woman was very troubled, and which, I mean, I don't know what the point of that was. I mean, it's not
which is so unfair. Yeah,
right.
It's so unfair. It's still a human. We all have troubles.
Right. But another interesting example of celebrities, they hide so much, and we tend to idolize them, and we make assumptions about their personas, and we assume that their persona is the same as the person. But yeah, many times it's just not.
Well, this fits the persona I had. I thought partier, hanging out of a Jaguar in a tunnel on like Malibu Canyon, and with your hairband, doing a backwards walkover on the Jaguar. That fits together for me, all of this.
Yeah.
I got no shame.
Yeah.
That's hard. So it was just really weird with this follow-up DM, and then the children. I mean, also, she did reveal during my show that she was working on an autobiography because she wanted to put everything in her own words. I don't know where that is. Like, and then, she also revealed that she dated Harvey Weinstein. That was like a big thing that came out of that.
Yeah, I remember
where
that.
she told this whole story about this nice guy and flowers and how wonderful he was. And I was like on the edge of my seat, and she's like, oh, and by the way, it was Harvey Weinstein. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, well, I really dodged a bullet, it seems. I'm like, I would say so. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, another example of how Hollywood smoke and mirrors, right?
isn't what it seems. So, but I mean, I loved her, really.
Wow. Well, I get that. I mean, I think when you're in a position where you're an interviewer, and like this podcast format, it's not like TV where, you have 15 minutes or something. Like, you actually end up having kind of a conversation, So I think that's pretty incredible that happened to be her last interview. But I feel like there's no need, as you said, to go into her history and start criticizing or tearing her to shreds or whatever. I don't know. It's just
Yeah, I mean,
it's not
that was just
necessary.
kind of my whole thing with like whoever it was. I was like, well, you know, I'm not in the family, so I'm certainly not getting involved in this. And
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm doing my job, so I would be promoting this regardless. And like, this has been my experience with her. So
Yeah,
from my
That's fair.
experience, it was great. And I am not purporting to know her like whoever you are, fake blocked account with no picture. But I mean, I don't know what you want from me. I'm not going to say, okay, and let me take down all these posts and not post.
What
yeah.
did she say about O.J.? Didn't she date O.J.?
Yes, she did. That was another one of
That's
her.
a crazy one.
Like,
That's another dodged
that
bullet.
was her
Two
thing.
dodged
It was
bullets.
like I had another dodge bullet, and I was like,
Mhm.
you did. You
Yeah.
did another dodge bullet.
Wow. Well, let's switch gears to another video vixen.
Let's talk about it.
Right, Real Housewives of Orange County. Is it Jeannie or Jean Keough?
Jeana.
Gia
Oh,
Keough.
Jeana. Okay, sorry, Jeana. I did not watch her season or seasons, but I did watch every single ZZ Top video she was in and thought she was so cool. Like I wanted to be her. I was like 13 watching her, thinking somehow my DNA was going to change and I was going to grow up and look like her. So tell us about Jeana behind the scenes.
She was okay. I mean, look, the interview itself is like strange. Like she yawned during it. I think she was high, which is okay. I like don't judge, but she was sleepy.
Like
And
benzo, like pill.
I thought I edited out the 12 yawns. I guess I left one in there because lots of people were like, there's a yawn in there. I'm like, oh, I guess out of the 12 or 13 yawns, I only got 12 and I left one in. You know, there are times you're just like, that's where, I mean, I don't say every, like the Tawny episode was great. Like not every interview of mine I say is great. It's just like, we don't have to do this. Like, I didn't beg you.
Left the yawns in because it shows who the person is. I would have left that last yawn and been like, you know what? I'm presenting to the public what you presented to me in all fairness. I'm not going to edit you to look like a better interview than you were. Like, let the people see, you know? I would have been very interested to hear those 12 yawns and been like, wow, this lady's rude.
Right. And like, you don't have to do this. Like I didn't, like I did reach out to you and ask you, and you could have said no.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to do it, we certainly didn't have to do it now if this wasn't the most convenient time for you. So, yeah. But that's that.
Did she talk about the videos? I you know what? I didn't listen to that one yet.
She talked about the videos. Yes, she talked about them. I think like she just didn't, elaborate much. It was like, yeah, I was in those, and yeah, well, what a great time and how much fun. But like, it's kind of like, all right, well, anything else you want to tell us?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I do on my Patreon every year in January a best of and a worst of the past year. Now so she's made, she'll make a list. She'll make a list of best of or worst of. I mean, the shows are already recorded, but with the worst of, I let it all hang out. I'm like, this is really why.
I think that's fun. I kind of like the worst of.
It's like the best. People love it.
Yeah,
people do because you feel awkward for the. It's kind of like, remember when you guys we used to watch Love Connection and get like totally secondhand embarrassment because you felt so awkward.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of awkward on that show. Oh,
it's kind of fun though. It's kind of fun to hear like a bad. I don't know.
The worst ones this year, we had a couple like where it was like, yeah, the number 2 and 3 spot. I was like, as I about to reveal this, these two could be switched. Like these are neck and neck for different reasons. Mm-hmm. Number 2, the number 1 was a clear number 1, but the 2 and 3, I was like, but it's a whole top 10. We start at 10 and count up and
amazing.
Give reasons why, and people are like, oh my god, this is. I'm like, yeah, like I will talk about. Sometimes it's a great interview, and I'm like, this is ranked number 7 worst of because this person literally drove me fucking crazy 24 hours a day once the interview was over, about the following 12 things, and that's enough to push them towards the number 7 worst of. Because it's not just the interview; it's like the whole experience with this human being. This has landed them on the worst of.
Now, did they go back and overthink it and say, "Can you edit out X, Y, and Z"? Is that what happens behind the scenes?
People do that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. How did they drive you crazy? What do you
Yeah.
mean?
That's a big one of it. Can you this? And wait, what did I'm like, yeah, we're not.
You're like,
editing that
bitch, if
out.
you don't remember what you said, that's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Like this isn't like you can edit every little thing out and every other week you can make a request. The answer is no. So that's part of it, usually. And just a lot of times, just everything. Like everything. Literally. Right. Why this? And
Like they want to
I'm
have
like,
brunch or something, or
no, but like it's a lot of right. Like, wait a second, maybe I talked too much about this. And like, okay, that's okay, but wait, now you're calling 4 days later with something else and then this. And it's really just like until your episode is out, it's like freaking counseling you.
They're like overthinking it.
yeah.
Like, did I divulge too much?
And listen,
Right.
it's always usually Housewives and Bravo people that go down that road,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to real actors and actresses.
Well,
Now,
oh, sorry, Aim. Go ahead.
I want to know how your interview with Alaska went. I'm so excited. I need to listen to that one.
That one went. So yeah, I've had a lot of the queens on.
And
Alaska,
Gia Gunn. I saw Gia Gunn on there.
I love Gia. So Alaska was on twice. Alaska wanted to come back. It's always nice when someone wants to come back. I don't know what Alaska was doing the first time, like promoting, but the second time Alaska had the book,
Yeah.
and music. The second time was great because, like, you know what it is? It's like, it's always like when it's like a little bonus. So I don't know how it came up. Oh, because Alaska said she watched Beverly Hills, like she watched Housewives now, and she didn't before. She got into Beverly Hills
She
House.
wanted to chat.
And I was like, okay, wait a second. So now we need to take a moment out because like this and like, what do you think of Erica Jane? But she also told the story in real life about being kicked out of a dressing room by Lisa Rinna. And I was like, wait a second. Like, I know you think this is like now, like, you're just making small talk with me, but we need to slow it down here, girl.
That is iconic.
I got like 25,000 questions. And so just like, it was one of those real time, like Alaska was like, really? You have questions? Like, we're going to go back to your music and all, but like, wait a second. Like, what do you mean? And how did this happen? And
Yeah.
I needed like every detail about Rinna and this dress.
Yeah, like what happened?
Like that. Well, it was like Alaska was hired to perform at some event. I forgot what the event was. And Rinna was hired, like giving an appearance fee. You know, like I'm here, I'm Lisa Rinna, I'm going to have a glass of champagne and leave.
Yeah.
And I guess Alaska was in the dressing room with everything, you know, the clothes, the makeup, the hair, everything ready to perform. And I guess Lisa's team came in and was like, all right, well, we need this dressing room. I guess it was the only dressing room. You know, and Alaska was like, well, wait, like Lisa's here just to make, like, she's outside in the SUV. She's dressed. Like, there's no, she just doesn't want to be around human beings, I guess, that are beneath her until the moment, 10 minutes that she's being paid for. So Alaska's like, you know, this is like I'm not in drag. Like, you understand this takes like there's like 800 steps now before I actually go and perform.
Oh, yeah.
That requires me to be naked and tucking and makeup. And like, I mean, where would you like me to do
like
that?
3 wigs,
Right,
like a lot.
And I
Did
think
you do that in the hallway or?
yeah, like I think Lisa's team was just like, we don't really care where you do all of that, whoever you are.
But do you think, was that Lisa or was that her team? Because you know how sometimes celebrities don't really know what they're, I mean, I've been on the other end of that where like I've been in the presence of a celebrity and they found out that their team was like, you know, kicking ass and taking names, and they were like, wait a minute, I did not authorize that, you know. So was this a team thing or was it coming from the top?
Well, that's a good point. Like, I have that too, where I have people are like, you can't ask this and you can't ask that. And then the person comes on, and I mean, I follow rules when I'm not going to ask. And then like the third, we're in 3 minutes and they're talking about the 3 I didn't ask, but they're bringing up 3 things that I was told not to ask about. And I'm just like reading the room, and I'm like, oh yeah, you actually don't give a shit if we talk about this.
Right.
Your team. And then once someone brings it up, I'm like, fair game. I'm going to ask about this now because you're bringing it up.
It happens a lot. It does happen a lot. Yeah, to celebrities.
A lot.
Yeah, because a lot of times I think somebody on the team, you know, they sort of put themselves into the situation and they try to kind of pump themselves up to be more important than they really are, right? So it's actually their ego, not the celebrity's ego. Now, that's not to say there aren't celebrities.
It's more fun to hate Lisa Rinna, though. But I feel like Lisa Rinna would love a queen. She would love to hang around Alaska.
That's what I don't get.
And that's the thing. I really don't know if it was Rinna. And I don't think Alaska knew. And Alaska didn't even care. Alaska was like...
Alaska's like, this is what happened.
Right. And like, I still love Rinna. And, you know, it was one of these, like, life goes on.
Yeah.
What about Gia Gunn? How was Gia Gunn?
I mean, I really like Gia Gunn.
I did too.
Because I mean, Gia also got like emotional. Listen, anyone that breaks down and cries during my show, I'm like, I secretly am like, bring it on.
You know what? We should say, like, just in case people don't know, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're talking about RuPaul's Drag Race.
These are famous queens. These are fresh famous tilapia.
Right.
Yes.
These are like the absolute world's greatest drag queen. So sorry, but go ahead. I just wanted to interject in case people were like, Gia, who, what? Because some people don't, like my dad listens. He's not going to know.
Some people don't know. No, so Gia broke down, you know, in the sense that we were talking about, you know, Gia hasn't had the best time with Ru and Gia have had some drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just all about, you know, like Gia's transition. And so Gia broke down. Listen, Gia doesn't hold back. So Gia basically is like, didn't care and was slamming Ru. And Gia was one of my, like, as far as the queens go, one of the ones I liked the best.
Very open.
I like Gia, yeah.
Oh. Well, I have an 80s, you know, speaking of our podcast, 70s and 80s, you interviewed the one and only Susan Lucci. That's Mage.
Dun, dun, dun.
One of my favorites.
Mage.
Yeah, let's gush about Susan for a minute because what a legend, what an icon.
That's
right?
iconic right there.
She's one of those, like, I said this because I also interviewed Fran Drescher. Like, right. Susan is to me, like, find somebody, and I'm really, maybe there is somebody, but like, who has ever said anything bad about Susan Lucci in Hollywood? I've never heard anything.
Right.
I mean, I know her and Sarah Michelle Gellar, you know, apparently didn't get along back on All My Children, but let's put that aside for a minute. Like, you don't hear anything bad about Susan Lucci being a bitch or she's just, so she was Susan Lucci. And there was nothing to promote. It was literally like a friend of a friend. It was literally one of these things where it was like, she shouldn't even be here. She was literally doing it because someone close to her asked, which was like maybe 2 or 3 steps unremoved from me. You know what I mean? It was like one of those, like a friend of a friend who was doing a favor. And I was like, this might happen. And then it happened.
Did you watch All My Children with your grandma on that couch?
I did. Now, I didn't stay there till the end. So there's a lot of things probably that happened that I didn't know. But I certainly know, like, I wanted Susan. Like, I put it out there into the world. I mean, there was a lot of other people I wanted too, but when this
you got your Donna Mills. I got
my Donna Mills. But Susan, when it started gaining traction, it was like, oh my God, I really want Susan Lucci. I really want Susan Lucci. I do. And so then it happened.
And then Charlene Tilton, I see in there.
Listen, a little Dallas. I had Audrey Landers too.
Yes. Yes. And you are a Dallas super fan, as we know, right, Robbie?
I love Dallas.
Yeah. Let's get into Audrey. Let's talk about Charlene.
I was going to say Charlene was truly, truly not even 12 steps removed. She is a good friend of a good friend of mine, which, mind you, doesn't mean really anything in the world of Hollywood. Still. Because people don't care. Like, your best friend could do it, and you're like, your co-star could do it, and you could be like, it's just not right for me. But it was one of these things, and it was just, listen, it still takes forever to happen. Mm-hmm. But, like, there were emails, and I'm like, come on, Charlene, you need to respond. But, like, eventually, you know, it was really through a friend. We have, like, one friend that we were both friends with, and it was like, she was finally like, yeah, you know, like, she never really didn't want to do it. It took her a minute.
Yeah.
But then she did it.
And so is she going to be on the best list or the worst list in January?
Charlene is on neither of the lists. Listen, it was a good year. It was hard to make the best list. It was a very tough year, but Charlene is a total sweetheart, and I plan to hang out with her when I am in Nashville next, because she said, like, legitimately, she was like a real person, and
Yeah.
she was sweet. It's always like, you don't know, like, I'm like, who's going to listen to this particular episode? Like, who cares, really? I mean, you guys care, your audience cares, I care. But I'm like, is anyone going to really, there is this fan base for these nostalgic people out there. Because I'm like, Susan, okay.
Speaking of not caring, Brian Dunkleman, David Yontef, Brian Dunkleman.
It's a good one.
Well, what brought that on? God love him. I'm sure he's a very nice man.
He was the first co-host, right, of American Idol with Ryan Seacrest, and then David just disappeared, right?
But I also had Justin Guarini on too.
There's a theme. Oh, but Rob, did you watch Tiger King, Robbie?
I watched the first one, yeah.
Okay, David had Carol Baskin on there. What was your sense? Did you get a sense? Be honest.
Did she do it?
That she killed her friggin' husband.
She's one of those where I just like was so, what's the word? Like,
the bitch did it.
Enamored with her. No, I was just like, in a way, Carol Baskin
did it.
And you know what though? If she did, like, Carol Baskin to me is a badass. She's a badass. So
that bike, riding that little bike, that's scary shit.
She has like stories about like people, SUVs pulling her over on the side of the road because they want pictures, and like before they knew that they wanted a selfie, she thought she was going to be kidnapped and killed. And I'm just like, she's kind of a badass, Carol. So she's one of these, like,
she's capable. Let me translate. She's capable.
I feel like, I mean, I didn't think she did it, but like, who, like, I could see it both ways, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what?
The man is gone and there's no trace of him, right? So.
Yeah, I gotta say though, okay, now of course we literally, we are not accusing anyone of being a murderer or anything like that. We're offering our opinions so all the lawyers can take a seat.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
but
right.
I love chatting with her.
But yeah, don't you think that she kind of relishes in the fact that people don't know, didn't she, like, don't you think that she kind of plays up the question a little bit, even though insisting that she's innocent and all that, but maybe she is, but
I mean, she
leans into it for sure.
Yeah,
a little, but she's all about the big cats, and she's just like, this is what I have to endure, I mean, to get my big cat. I mean, this is her MO, this is what she says. So, but I love, and same thing with like Dunkleman, like he's like a legend.
I'm sure
now.
He's cool.
And so is like Justin Guarini. Like they are, it's almost like that so bad it's good category.
Right. Which is our favorite category.
I know.
We're all about that category.
It's interesting. Everybody has an interesting story. And Robbie, I would say this is an 80s person. David interviewed Cassandra Peterson, Elvira.
Oh, yeah.
What was your vibe on the one and only Elvira?
And let me also say that some of these people you've mentioned are coming back. They've already recorded. We have.
I love it. I love it.
Some people wanted to come back again. Cassandra and I just bonded. Another one. She doesn't like a lot of interviewers.
She seems cool, like a cool person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's also 70 years old and
she
looks
like 31.
Right?
She's always
looked
so good.
Yeah, she's stunning.
Right?
So Charlene Tilton, though. Charlene Tilton, oh my God. I mean, she looks like she stepped off Southwark.
But all of them, Audrey Landers, Donna Mills, I think they all looked so unbelievable.
The Donna Mills. Now, we went over the Donna Mills one in a prior episode, but I just have to shout out one more time. Okay. What a great interview. And I was so in love with her. Like, I just thought she was such a neat and interesting person. Now, once again, who knows? Maybe that was the hat she put on for that interview. Maybe she's, I don't know what she's really like. But in that interview, she came across as just a really three-dimensional, cool person and exactly what you would hope Donna Mills would be.
Like, it's very satisfying. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I agree. And she's a legend, you know, she's a legend. And so I really enjoyed her as well. Cassandra was great. I'm just, like, out of all these people, there's no Jeana Keoughs in that group that you mentioned. I really can say I loved Donna, loved Audrey, loved Charlene, loved Carol Baskin, loved Brian Dunkleman, loved Justin Carini.
This is amazing.
Loved Elvira, Cassandra. They were all just some of my favorites. Honestly.
I'm serious. This is a very serious question. If your grandmother was still with us, who would be her favorite interview, or who would she want you to interview? Who would she be like, I can't believe it?
Well, out of that group, she was a Dallas person, so I think Charlene, like, more than Audrey, just because, like, Lucy Ewing is iconic.
I mean, from episode 1, bam, straight away.
Yeah. So I think she would be the most shocked by Lucy. Charlene Tilton, that is.
Yeah. I just can't stand it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the Susan Lucci one is just a huge get. And you know what I would love to see?
That's a good.
I would love to see you interview Martha Stewart. I think that would be such a great show because you have insider info.
Good. It was in the mix at one point. It was in the mix. I mean, it's not in the mix right now, but it was like at least on the radar at one point.
Can you imagine the questions?
Could it get on the radar again? Like, was it just?
I would love to interview Martha. She would be up there.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to find her traits. When she was young, like, when did she first realize that she had that trait where, like, she needed, she probably, all her Barbies, you guys, were lined up, like, perfect, with perfect hair.
Probably.
She would be up there for me. So, listen, it's like, I've got some stuff coming.
It's very exciting.
So 2022 is looking extraordinary at the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast. So
exciting.
Okay, so David, tell everybody where they can find you, contact you, listen to you.
You can listen to Behind the Velvet Rope podcast anywhere podcasts are found, Apple, Spotify. And again, it's 5 days a week. It's interviews with all of these people, tons of 80s, tons of 90s music, pop culture. And online, the best place is Instagram at Behind Velvet Rope. There's no just at Behind Velvet Rope. And like all these people you mentioned, they're all there on the back feed. So listen. And there's lots of other 80s nuggets hanging out there too.
It's so fun. It's really fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, David, thank you so much for joining us.
So much fun. Happy holidays.
Oh, right. I know. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. Like, let's embrace the season, right? Yeah, Kwanzaa. Yeah, we're all about the happiness and the Hallmark movies and any joy we can get. You know, we're working on it. But as always, we're so happy that you stopped by because it's just so much fun.
It's fun. Tag me in all this. I will share it, and I'll be back. I'll be back in 2022.
Yay!
Oh, we have to get these updates from David, you guys. We need to know behind the scenes of these interviews he gets. So we will bring that to you.
Hells yeah. And shout out to that schedule you've got. I mean, listen, we have enough trouble with this once a week thing. Like, I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I'm tired.
He's tired.
I'm tired. I mean, that's just the answer. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. And we want to give a special shout out to, we have so many listeners in Germany and France and Japan and the UK. And we are so excited and thrilled that you guys come along for the ride. Thank you so much to everybody. And thank you to our unbelievable favorite guest, David Yontef from Behind the Velvet Rope podcast, for joining us. So what's the rest of your day like today, David?
It's very cold out in New York, and I am going to light a candle and stay in and do some work. I know, it's so boring.
Wait, what scent? David, what scent is the candle?
Twisted peppermint.
Ooh.
And it's like the whole house smells like peppermint.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's Christmas, right? So it's like it's the holidays. It's the appropriate candle for now.
I love candy canes. Some people don't.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Makes the whole house smell like a mixture between that and like the mint Tic Tacs. And
oh my God.
It might sound overbearing, but it is in such a good way.
I
That
love
sounds lovely.
It
Robbie, what are you
sounds-
going to do today?
Holiday wise, right?
Yeah.
I am wrapping gifts today and getting ready to mail all the ones that are not going to arrive by Christmas because
you
I'm
better get on it.
Yeah, I'm late every year with this. I don't know what's the matter with me in the post office. And going out to dinner. What about you, Aim?
I have to scoot legit right now to run out and get my last minute presents.
Oh, yeah. It's that
By the
time.
way, this is probably going to drop in January, so sorry you guys for all of our holiday talk, but that's when we recorded this.
Right.
That's okay.
Well, you know what? I can actually this might even drop before Christmas. So
Oh, cool. All right,
yeah,
we're right
we're-
on track.
This is
Even if it drops in January, I put things out in January that talk about Christmas too, because it's just it is what it is. Sometimes you're just 2 weeks behind, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We all can relate. So I'm going straight out, you guys, for my last minute things.
Love
I'm going to
it.
keep my head down so I don't get anxiety with all the people. I'm just going to look at the ground and go through the crowds, keep my mask on, and make it happen.
Right, and you guys, this is the secret to Christmas shopping. All right,
What?
I'm going to change your lives.
Tell me
okay?
right now.
If you have to go out into the crowds shopping, wear a Santa hat.
Mm.
That's
I'm telling you.
said.
Yeah, it is the greatest trick. I learned it in New York City
That's what you
like 20 years
said.
ago when I lived there and I worked at a nightclub. And one of the cocktail servers told me about this because I was working there during Christmas season. And, you know, that's a whole nother story. But
No,
she
you told
me
this,
that.
yeah.
And I have done that every year. It is amazing. First of all, you feel kind of silly and funny. So, you know, you're in a better mood. But everybody who sees you with a Santa hat, they're like, "Hey, Santa!" Hey, and everyone's happy
just
and
nice to
smiling, and they
you?
treat you better. Yeah, it's.
Well, I wore
love
my
it.
Jingle Bells
It's a crazy
headband the
secret.
other day, and that didn't get me shit. So
Oh well, yeah, but
Do the
there's-
Santa hat.
Yeah,
All
it's a
right, all right.
Santa thing. It's not just goofy.
it can't,
Like,
it's
it's not.
my Jingle Bell headband. It jingled, but
yeah,
you know, people
it's not
were
ugly
still
sweater type thing. It's the
All right,
it's the
all right.
Santa vibe. Yeah.
Okay.
Give
Gonna
it
do
a
it.
try and report back. Yeah.
Yes, I will report back. I'm putting on my shoes right now.
Love it. Keep in
Right.
touch, everyone.
All right. All right. Love you too, David. And we love you guys for listening. I'm Robbie-Ann McPherson. Oh, sorry. You can find us, Glitter Bee Girls, on Instagram, Glitter Boom Girls on the interwebs, and Glitter Bee Girls on Twitter, right? And I'm Robbie-Ann McPherson on the East Coast.
I'm Amy Asbury on the West Coast.
And thank you, David.
Thank you,
Love
David.
you guys. Keep
Yeah.
in
Light your
touch.
candle.
Yeah, we'll see y'all later. You guys see you next time.
Bye.